But at the end, when the new things are tried, there are some mishaps happens every time. And all space agency fails that. So at that point of time, it was 1963, then 1969, ISRO come into existence. Bikram Lander became the chairman of the ISRO, and he has convinced the government that the space program is not for the elitists. Space program will give us the edge in the technology, and the benefits which comes out from the space technology will help the common man. There are several types of spin technologies which comes and it helps, like that artificial fits, artificial limbs. It is being created with the very lightweight material which is made, which is used for making the satellites. So like this, and then direct benefit like natural resource management, agriculture, water, geology. So all those things are involved, and the information which we get from this space is very, very high, and we have to utilize it in our cause. So the earlier, as one of your senior teacher has already told, the Aryabhata was launched at 1975. This was launched from the Russia. This was the first satellite which ISRO has launched. ISRO has three phases. One is the beginning phases, which I have already mentioned, in COSPA, then formation of ISRO. After that, the experimental phase starts. In the experimental phase, ISRO has launched the experimental satellite with Aryabhata, having the X-ray astronomy payload, then Bhaskara having the remote sensing payload and TV cameras at that point of time. Then Apple, which having the payload of communication. Then you can see the satellite is carried at that point of time in Bullock. Now we cannot imagine this. So now these are the fleet of the launch vehicle. So over the time, ISRO also advances the technology, and you can see the sounding rockets. The initial stage when ISRO started, we are used to launch the sounding rockets and heads were carried by the cycle. But nowadays it is carried by the big trucks, and it reaches Sriharikota, which is the launch pad, and from there the big rockets are launched. So there are PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, there are PSLV, Geostationary Satellite Launch Vehicle, this is Mark II, and then latest launch vehicle which Chandrayaan 2 has been launched, it is GSLV, Geostationary Launch Vehicle Mark III, and it can carry up to 4 tons of payload. This can carry 2.2 tons, and PSLV is around 2 tons. So why the PSLV? Why GSLV? So to tell you in brief, PSLV is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, launches mostly the remote sensing satellite, which is 600 to 800 kilometers above the Earth and rotates over the pole. But geostationary satellite launch vehicle launches the satellites which are like communication type of satellites, which is 36,000 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and it rotates in the same speed of the Earth in the geostationary orbit, so that it can look over the India. If it is placed over the India, full disk it will see India and surrounding. So it gives the communication links. It gives the pictures of the weather. So these are the different types of satellites ISRO has launched. Other than that, also ISRO has launched the satellites called IRNSS, and the constellations called the Navik satellites. I will come all those things one by one. Next slide, please. Now this is the fleet of communication satellites. You can see the type of applications where the data communications, stock market, hospital, there are telemedicine, teleeducations, the communication transponder that built in SAC Ahmedabad, and also the sensors. And then it is fabricated in Bangalore, URSC, UR Rao Satellite Center, and then satellite was carried to the Sriharikota, and where the launch vehicle are made. One part is made, the liquid part is made, liquid propulsion center in Trivandrum, and also they have the center in Bangalore, and the Bikram Lander Space Center, ESSC, they are also, these launch vehicles are fabricated. And then this launch vehicle is brought to the Sriharikota. The satellite comes from Bangalore and launch vehicle comes from the Trivandrum. All this integrated in the Sriharikota launch pad. There are two launch pad 1, launch pad 2, and both the launch pads are these days are very busy. Always one satellite launch, next satellite comes. So people, the scientists don't have the time. The scientists, engineer, technicians don't have the time to see their families also sometimes when this type of activities goes on. So now, the communication growth. As we know, the mobile communication, it has become 2G, then 3G, then 4G, now 5G is coming. So there is high demand of the transponder, this communication bands, and this throughput should increase day by day. That to cater the demand, the different types of technologies are being evolved, and this advanced technology, this what being high throughput technology, those things are being integrated in the satellite. Now this is the communication constellations where these IRNSS 7 satellites are placed. This is totally indigenous GPS type of system, which is you call GPS, where 24 US satellites are there. This Navic communication, this constellation provides the accuracy. This is very much important for the defense and strategic use, as far as when this type of requirement comes, we cannot use the foreign satellite systems where the information will pass on to them. So our indigenous constellation is must in this type of situations. Then Indian Earth Observation Program, which is basically the remote sensing program, it has the four things. One is the constellation of the satellite, another is the ground segment satellite data is received. In Hyderabad, there are different types of stations. Here, Indonesia, all over the world, the stations are located, and satellite passes over the pole, and when passes over that station, the data is downloaded. For few minutes, it gets that it comes in the look angle of that observatory, that antenna. At that point of time, the data is downloaded, and the storage in the satellite is being emptied, so that next set of data sets it can capture and store, and when again it comes to the Earth stations, it will download the data. Then it has been institutional, of course. There are response projects, and geology faculty, our senior teacher has already collaborated with the Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. So universities are welcome to submit the project in response. And there are number of space applications which I will give you the examples. Indians evolution. Now, like Indian space program has evolved over the time, then satellite technology also matured over the time. The first picture was taken for the coconut wilt disease using the Hasselblad camera of thermal region. The thermal region is used to detect the crops which are affected, coconut in Kerala. So from there, the satellites, as I have already discussed, the Vaskara has came into existence in 1979 and Vaskara 2 is in 81. Then operational era started with the launch of IRS-1A in 1988. Then the story or saga continued, and there are number of satellites has been launched, and there are around more than 15 satellites at present, and satellite has some life period, some 5 years, 6 years. After that, the satellite we deorbit the satellite so that it doesn't function after that. So new satellite are launched, new satellite come to the place. So these are the advantages of the Earth observation or remote sensing. It has the synoptic view, it has the repetitive observations because it comes once more in time and again in a same place. It has the information in spatial domain, not only the point information, and it gives also the stereo coverage, means 3D views also.